All right, welcome back everyone. So now we're going to be talking about how we can factor with the GCF. And with factoring the GCF, first we have to be able to understand what is the GCF. Our GCF stands for the greatest common factor, meaning when we say factor, it really just means our biggest multiple. So we're finding what two numbers multiply to 9 and x squared, and will also multiplies to 3 and x. Well, 9's factors are 9 times 1 and 3 times 3, because 9 times 1 gives us 9 and 3 times 3 gives us 9. The other one that we can have is x squared times 1 or x times x. Remember that squared just means that we are multiplying the same thing twice. Here, 3 only has 1, which is 3 times 1, and x, which is x times 1. Now here, when I identify my GCF, I need to look at, what numbers do they have in common? Well, I see they have a 1, they both have a 1, and they both have a 3, as well as an x. So if that's the case, I'm looking for the biggest number. So if I'm looking for the biggest number, I see that they both have a 3 here and that they both have an x. So I have to separate the two columns and see which ones are the biggest value I can pull out. So here, my GCF is going to be 3x. Let's do one more where we have 6x and 12x squared. So let's break 6x into two trees, and we'll have 12 and x squared. So 6 has 6 times 1, because anything can be multiplied by 1. And we also have 3 and 2, as well as x can be multiplied by 1. 12, we have a few more. We have 12 times 1. We're also going to have 6 times 2, and 4 times 3. Now when we do that, we're going to have x squared times 1 or x times x. So if I'm going to start identifying, I'm not going to highlight all of my key terms now. I'm only going to highlight my biggest ones. So I see I have 3 and a 3 and an x and an x. So therefore, my GCF is going to be 3x again. But this is not how we factor using the GCF. This is only our first step. So when we're looking to factor, so when you guys see this prompt to factor, that means we're trying to break it down into those two multiples, okay? So first, in order to do that, we need to find our GCF. So if we're finding our GCF, I'm looking at 2x and 10x. Well, 2 is easy. It's 2 times 1, and x times 1 is my other factor. Now, 10 has a couple. It's going to be 10 times 1 and 5 times 2. Finally, I have x, which is x times 1. So here, I can start identifying my factors. So I have 2 and 2, and x and x. Therefore, my GCF is going to be 2x. And also, I let a couple of the problems be left open so then you guys can practice as well. Now let's look at when we divide our GCF from the equation. We're looking to divide, so we have 2x, and we need to divide it by the whole entire equation, which is 2x squared plus 10. I'm going to move this a little bit down to help you guys see a little bit better. And I'm trying to find how many times does 2 go into 2? Well, I know it goes into 1 time, but I need to be also able to have my x squared. So x times x, recall that x times x is the same thing as x squared. So if I multiply by an x here, now I have 2x squared, and if I subtract them, I get 0. So basically what we're doing here, we're doing a form of long division. And what this is called is polynomial long division, which you guys will get more into in Math 3. But here, this is where we're doing a specific polynomial called a monomial. Now we bring down our plus 10. So 2 goes into 10. x. Well, I know that 2 goes into 10 5 times, so I'm going to add 5 here. And since there's already an x there, we don't need to put anything else on. So now that I end in 0, and there's nothing on at the very end, that means I can write out my solution as 2x times x plus 5. And you're probably wondering, where did that 1 go? That 1 in the very front. Well, what is 1 times x? Well, it is just x. So you can either write it as with the 1x, or you can write it as 2x times x plus 5. Both work. And what's so beautiful about these factor problems is that if we are able to, we can actually get back to our standard form by multiplying these two. So this is just a way to check our work to see if we get the right answer. And if we multiply our two values, we should get back with what we started with. So if I do 2x times x plus 5, well, 2x times x, remember that x times x gives us x squared. So x times x gives us x squared, and 2 times that 1 in the front will give me 2. Then remember, this is our distributive property, so I have to multiply to the first term and then to the second term. So 2 times 5 gives me 10, and I attach that x at the end. So here, I know that I am correct because when I multiply my factored form, I get my standard form. So this is how you're able to check your work. These problems are not too bad because you can, the hardest part is most likely going to be this portion over here where you have to divide and know how to use long division to be able to set it up. But once you get past this portion, they're not too bad. So here, I'll let you guys know on that next problem, on that next page, you will see that you have your GCF method. So first, you're going to have to identify your GCF. Then you will have to divide by your GCF. Then you need to finally multiply in order to get your factored form. You need to have your GCF being multiplied by your factor that you get. And what does that mean? So when you do your division, your factor is going to be this portion up top, and the portion on the outside is going to be your GCF. All right. So that's how you set it up. You don't have to write down these ideas, but I do want you to solve here and find your factor form. So it should look something like this. Y is equal to blank, okay? Then you have 2 more extra practice problems that you guys need to practice on your own. Please ask for help if you need it.